Okay.
All right. Okay. So, welcome to edition one of Table Talk, which is a series of conversations that is born from the Simple Recipes for Complicated Times group. And this is going to be a fortnightly conversation where each time we bring in a guest to talk about something specific, but also just to chat like friends and perhaps, bring a cup of tea, bring what you're eating, whatever it is. So, cheers. It's a
Cheers, Peter. The very best for table talks. I've simply loved simple recipes for complicated times. So I just only know that good things will happen with this.
And so, folks who are in there, you can leave comments in text and tell us what you think. But briefly, what we're going to be talking about today is something very interesting that Kirtana and our family did, which is during lockdown, and they decided to move out into the countryside and base themselves full time in a farm that they own. And what we're trying to do here is to just, for a lot of us, we have this very romanticized notion of what it would be like to live out in the countryside and farm and grow your own food and things like that. But what does it actually mean for you? Now, you're a city person. Your artistic practice is urban. Our husband is also an artist I would say, whose work would be best done in the city, perhaps, when it comes to performance and things like that. You have a young daughter as well. How did all of this work out for you when you first moved into the farm? What was good about it? How did it work? What surprised you? Just tell us about that.
Okay. So first I have to say that it was so fun. I just have to frame this entire discussion against the current COVID situation in India and also the fact of the migrant march across the country. So what happened with us was a little bit inverse. Up until this moment, we'd been the sort of the people who jumped between the city and the farm, and as and when they pleased, and everything was very well, and the farm was looked after by other people. At the start of the lockdown, the family who lived on the farm and who we've known for a very long time, I have a very close relationship to, daughter and the family, the youngest daughter was getting married. So they wanted to head back to Andhra. And also over the last few years, they've managed finally to buy land in Andhra and to be landowners, etc., etc. So this was a kind of a great moment for them to move back to the village. And Zui, my daughter, took stock at that moment and said, that's it. Can't have anyone else come here. So this is the moment in which we move to the farm and we do all the work ourselves. So it's strangely linked to the crisis in the country, and it's strangely linked to a kind of reckoning with, okay, these people who are marching across the country have been doing our work and we've all been benefiting from this. What is it, not in any romantic sense, Peter, but really it was that moment at which we could not hire anybody else. It was not possible because of the lockdown, etc. So we just moved, bag and baggage. All our animals, our dogs are there anyway. So we just moved and we decided this is what we're going to do. Now, when I say moved, even now our own families don't believe us. But we really actually do all the work ourselves. It's only in the last, I think since November, that Nagama, who's been with us for many years from the village, has started coming in again to do some of the top work and work with the animals. But up until this time, literally, our daughter did all the animal work, which means giving birth to helping the buffalo give birth, waking up early, milking them, sweeping the cow dung. The other day she had to put out a forest fire. So literally, and Kunarak has to go, every time there's no power, it's the crises, the daily crises of living in a village where you're dependent on a panchayat grid. It's those kind of, like the pump goes, what do you do? The borewell is not functioning, means everything comes to a standstill. So it's all that kind of stuff. But I have to say, it has been the most revolutionary year for us in terms of completely, the three of us were melded. The three of us were just loving each other and being in this space, and loving everything that bloomed. Or it's too much to even describe. It was really, I can't describe the pleasure of cooking just some random things, like pumpkin leaves or drumstick leaves and cooking only with that. Or you're chickens and laid eggs. Or all the while, Zui was making cheeses and paneer and stuff out of the milk that she was milking, collecting from the buffalo. So these were all really unique pleasures for us and extremely profound pleasures. And nothing romantic. Believe me, when you're exhausted, tired, dirty, and bitten, it's not romantic. But it's a different, it was altogether a different kind of pleasure that actually fed us, nurtured us hugely. We found that we were creating much more of our own stuff, wanting to tell our own stories in our own. Everything was just so pleasurable in a very deep way, not momentarily.
So, okay, I'm finding my mind going off into two directions to continue this, but let's pick one of those right now and say, how much you eat on the farm, from all that you eat, how much is stuff that you have grown?
Okay, let me say this. It's either grown on the farm or bought from neighboring farmers. There's a village next to us called Motuganahalli. So we go there once in 10 days to pick up whatever else we need. But a lot of what we eat on a daily basis is not even grown, I have to say, it's literally foraged. Because I haven't been successful at being a good farmer as yet. I hope to. So up until now, like our the fruit trees that Kunarik and I planted ourselves 15 years ago have really come to fruit. So we have a lot of avocado and sapota and mango and Surinamese cherry, all this kind of thing. We just literally forage. But the day-to-day, the diligence of planting one's own lady's finger and brinjal, I haven't succeeded at that at all, but I hope to. I know that while I've been away, they plant here. And the reason I haven't succeeded, I believe, is this. One, we've got damn goats and a horse and buffalo that just eat everything, and ducks also, they just eat everything. So primarily I blame them. Secondarily, I get quite exhausted walking to where the vegetables are. So now what we've done is we've dug up a kitchen garden quite near the very next to the kitchen. So this is much easier.
Okay.
The herb spirals and things that are next to the kitchen have always given us a lot. Without asking for it, we just get so much basil and onions, spring onions, all of this. But all the other stuff we've got to work at.
So basically, you're getting all your daily needs within a few kilometers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, for
Nothing
example,
you have to go to the store.
No. The only things we went to the city ever for were cheese and pasta. But now we make our own cheese and we make our own pasta, so we're good.
Okay,
We make brilliant
pasta.
pasta. Yeah, we got one for Christmas, and so now pasta is under the belt. Black pepper fettuccine.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's absolutely, like, now that COVID has gotten so bad in the city, Kunal and Zui, I'm not in Bangalore right now, I'm in Munich, but the two of them, they don't go to the city at all. They're completely self-sufficient.
I'm going to just ask other folks running in the room to please watch the live for now, and I'll open it up to everyone to join in a little bit later. So right now, it will be just Kirtana and me, and join in a little bit later, please. So Kirtana, the other thing that I'm wanting, the thing I was, as I said, my mind was going off two directions, and one was, how is it in terms of your work? You're a theatre practitioner. The theatre and shows and things like that, one sees this as being urban. Okay, Bernard is a musician, and part of a musician's life is, of course, the creative process and thinking up new stuff, but it's also performance, and your audiences are in the city. And your daughter's a young woman, and I imagine with a large network of friends and social circle and all that, in non-pandemic times, how was the adjustment? I mean, in a comment to one of my posts, your daughter put in, I put like the joys and despairs, and she was like, "What despairs?" So I gather she's exactly bored with this.
Yeah, she really was. What? No, Sweetheart, not even kidding. Not even, I cannot tell you. I mean, I'm sure this is true of a lot of people who are listening right now. There was not a single, okay, let's put it like this. Yeah, we are performers, but we are also performers who think about what it is we want to express. I don't just want to be performing. I don't know, I'm 55 right now, so I don't really just want to be performing for that immediate. I'm quite happy to create something that perhaps in 10 years or 20 years is still nurturing someone. So actually the time of the pandemic was deeply introspective and very, very beautiful to be left with our own devices and to figure new ways of it, because your creativity doesn't come to an end, right? You keep creating. It's really about your audience, and it's about whether you want a physical audience on a manifested embodied stage, or whether you're happy to venture into this new virtual space. And in our case, we were very, very happy to venture into the virtual space. See, the thing is also because our students have been in a virtual space for more than 10 years now. So suddenly it was quite youthful. It was very, it really made us feel all fresh and energetic again because we were learning all these new things. And we were learning how to, the ideas we were reaching new audiences. And it was actually quite transnational. So we both found that we ended up working a lot more in the last, say, 15 or 18 months than perhaps one would normally do in a embodied space. In an embodied space that has a lot of gatekeeping and has venue issues and money issues and so many issues. Here we were our own bosses in a way, no? Because whatever you create, you go straight to your audience, and your audience was not restricted. So actually, we found it quite fascinating and very creative.
And you've also, for instance, had your students, your theatre students, joining you at the farm, staying with you for a while.
Yeah, yeah, this is true. They would beg us, and we would be really strict and say, no, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks before you come here. And they would,
Mhm.
and they would come. So, sorry, one sec. Why is my daughter calling me? Should I take this call? Is she saying? Okay, sorry to break that up, Peter. Yeah, and in fact, continue with the students thing. It's quite what we're actually in talks with Drama School Mumbai about how we're going forward with our all the pedagogical work, right? And we're really thinking about creating COVID bubbles and doing hybrid work
Mhm.
so that we're not restricted in any way because we can do a lot of, you know how it is, right? With hybrid, you do a lot of all your everything, all your theory, you do it online, and then you come together with safety protocols in place and do your embodied work. So I don't think there's a limit to that really.
Yeah, there's been,
And
I mean, one of the
it's,
other things which is I help edit a newsletter, and which is about the arts and culture. And one of the stories team had done recently was about being able. Yeah, your daughter's in here.
yeah,
Yeah. So one of the stories we did there was about how people in around the country are doing very different things in terms of being. The one thing we look at theatre, if you had to define theatre, would be you go to a place where actors perform something live for you there, a fresh
right.
performance time. And so people were having, the adjustment to doing it at a distance over screen, and perhaps, uh, in different times, recording, doing that. The hybrid work is pretty fascinating to see what minds are coming up with and have come up with during this time of lockdown.
It really is. And I have to say that it's opened a lot of, for example, when I look at other people's work, younger theatre makers, a lot of them have really, really persevered, even with Instagram or with Twitch, they really persevered. And if because you want to go old school and really think like, what is that laugh? What's that bottom line that makes you an actor or makes you, yeah, an actor, I would say. Like Bukowski said, if you strip off everything else, no, the costume, the stage, what is it? It's one person communicating with another person, right? And that it happens live is even more beautiful. and that it's dangerous and takes risks is the icing on top. Now, live we can do, person to person we can do, interactive we can do. How dangerous are we is the question, and how many risks are we willing to take, right? So then maybe the risks we take, now we have to show. We've been sitting pretty for some decades, so now we have to show in what manner we're going to take risks of form and risks of self and risks of politics.
So yeah, so yes, with all I mean, you personally, what have you been doing any experiments in working in this weird new normal that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, two things I'd like to tell you about. One is connected with food and one is not. So shall I get
Right?
done with the non-food one?
Food is just our excuse to chat
Yeah,
at
okay.
this point.
So
Yeah, okay, so
actually,
we will broadly come back to food every now and then, but we're just friends chatting. Other people happen to
okay,
be listening.
okay. So at the start of the lockdown, because I suppose I have like this latent, I'm a theater junkie essentially, and like to do everything to do with theater, and also maybe some feeling of nurture or something. I felt that I had to really embrace my community. So I started doing this little digital oral theater archive of readings from Sri Aurobindo Savitri. And the reason I chose that text is one, because my father in law introduced me to it, and two, because very importantly, it's about life and death, right? And I threw this, and it's not a religious tract, thank God for that. It's a philosophical tract. And I thought that it was really early. It was very early. It was in April or May, or April maybe. And I just threw it open and I said, let's do bite and 50 actors reading from Sri Aurobindo Savitri. A lot of people did, but I also noticed a lot of people didn't answer that call. And it may be for whatever reason, but I started to get the sense it also had to do because people were so in this secular world, so there's a kind of resistance to anything that you think is whatever Hindu or something. So there's a lack of engagement and a resistance to going down that road. But so be it.
I know what you
Fair
mean.
enough. All right. But I went on with that. So that's been quite a quiet journey because nobody, I mean, God knows how many people will watch it. But anyway, it's there for posterity. And in a moment in time, this many actors would have been held in that embrace, and their pandemic images would have been collected in their voice. Nothing more than that. So that has been an ongoing thing. And you asked me about the joys and despairs, and I said it was all joy. But there was one, yeah, there was also despair because I lost my father in September. So it was sort of, it was like a moment of precedence, even doing that. So it had something. Anyway, now where am I?
Yeah, we have the limitations of this medium mean that I can't just reach out and give you that hug that I want to give you right
But I
now.
feel it, Peter. I feel it. I feel
I
it.
know,
So anyway,
and
so
I know exactly. I know I lost my father just before lockdown last year, and uh, I know friends who had similar losses, not from COVID, for other
yeah.
reasons. Because
I
we're
know,
more,
and it's been so many people. So I kept thinking, wow, this is not this even going on this journey was for some reason. Otherwise, why would I have thought of this stupid project? It's like so. It's there's some reason for it. I'm glad for it now. And then along the way, I had already committed to this festival and all this work, a huge amount of work that I'm now doing in Munich. And then I wasn't sure whether I was coming or not. Da, 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 da. But as luck would have it, it all happened that I was here. I wasn't even sure if it was luck or not because my family was so upset that I was traveling in a pandemic. But I thought that it was kind of the a good thing to do at that moment in time. So I came here just really raw and really okay. So I've got work to do. I'm going to be practical. I'm just going to do my work, right? So there I was. And the first or second day I'm here, it's snowing outside. I'm looking at the snow and thinking it's so beautiful. And I'm talking to Nagama, who works at the farm now. And I'm trying to explain snow to her and say it's this thing, it's like cold and it's white in color. And she, for the life of her, can't understand what the snow thing I'm talking about is. She's like, is it rain? What is it? No, I don't know. It's white. And then she says, okay, but are you coming back for Yugadi? And that kind of started me on this other journey, and a journey I'm really enjoying, which is it's a digital archive and it's a documentary theater process called Nagama's Letters, where Nagama and I just communicate with each other. She's there in Vardhenhadi and I'm here at this ivory tower outside of Munich in this beautiful wood. And we talk to each other. And she's always asking, what have you cooked? Like, what was breakfast? What have you cooked? Why haven't you cooked? What is that? What is that you're eating? And then she knows how to make pasta now. So then she tells me how to make pasta. And then, or I'd show her something and she says, oh yeah, those are mushrooms. I know those things we collect. But it's just the most, I really am enjoying this very much. And she sends me photographs like of things that she's doing, or just herself, or her talking, or her shouting at me, or her, telling Zooey, look, take pictures of me now, picking up the duck or whatever. And I really am enjoying that. It's kind of, that's also another introspective, and it's, Gayatri Spivak said this super thing about the epistemes, the forgotten epistemes. They require a radical, different engagement. You can't engage with it in the old ways. And I feel that when you ask me about theatre, I feel where we're at is a radical new space. So our engagement with it has to be different. I have to be telling stories that are reaching across, like intersectionality has to be real for us. It can't be an abstraction. It can't be like, there was some comic thing the other day about you pay €100 or something, €100 to listen to somebody talking about the subaltern. It can't be that despicable, right? Our engagement has to be a little more radical than that. So that. Let me blow my nose, Peter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Kirtana and I have never met. We have friends in common. We met over Facebook to speak at another series of events I'm running. This is the first time we are actually conversing. We had an event, we've talked at other times, and it's been a slightly more formal kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And that's means that I think these times have opened us up to the possibilities of. I know everyone complains about being all zoomed out all day and meeting after meeting. I don't lead corporate life at the moment. I'm not, in a job, so I don't have work calls. But for me, the phone and being the occasional video, I'm not very big on video chats, but I've been finding that connect and the ability to connect and having these technology to be able to help us, not just, for instance, like theater, but just being able to talk, to see each other, to see what we're doing and all of that. How's that? What are your thoughts on tech? And how it brings us together, or perhaps it doesn't bring us together.
Okay, so my students think I'm really bad with tech. I don't think I'm that bad, and I don't understand actually why they say I'm so bad. Maybe because I don't know all the stuff they know, and I'm not so good at it, and I ask them what this stuff is and all that. But I have found it actually quite enjoyable. I'm glad for Zoom. I've been able to communicate with my friends, and I've been able to talk with people. Normally, what can we do, Peter? Normally, we never have the money to create a meeting or to do a project across even India, let alone across like internationally. It's very difficult, right? But with Zoom, we've managed to do so much work, and we've really been able to share our joys and our sorrows. We've been able to share all of that. So, like, for example, there's a series of conversations that I've been having with a theater friend and colleague, Axel, here outside Munich. And we've been doing this on Tuesdays. And Axel is very much of the idea like you, that he says, let's just talk, let's just converse, and we'll have some very vague frame. But it's not a symposium, and it's not a lecture, and it's not a workshop, and it's not practical, and it doesn't offer you anything of any worth. It's just two human beings. We make soup and we talk. But it's been so fine, and even the people who come in and the ideas that have been shared, because there was no real agenda. Nobody had anything to forward except a hesitant, tentative idea. Like, can I put this carrot into this soup, or maybe I should put some fennel, or. So it's literally, for the first adda, what we did was we peeled fennel and stuff, leeks, and next adda we hope to be drinking the soup. But it's just that, like we all bring something to the party.
And in a way, that's been how it is on the group as well, where we've interacted the most with simple recipes. A friend of mine who designed that lovely logo for Table Talk, Kriti, put it for me put it for me like this: at a time when one of those flare-ups that happened in the group, when you had a certain amount of men making locker room talk, which annoyed a lot of people, quite rightly so, because it was insensitive, it was sexist, and a lot of people were very angry. And Kriti put it like this: she said, what I feel when I am in that group is a sense of being in other people's kitchens, of being allowed into other people's kitchens, and sharing this very basic thing, food, and through food, love, right? And she said, for a lot, because of the way lives are structured in India, because of all those various problems about gender, roles, expectations, etc., the kitchen is one place where a woman can actually feel at home, whether it's the ideal situation or not. And she said, kitchen conversation, food conversation is in some ways, and I hope I'm remembering her words rightly, it's the locker room talk of a lot of women, without all those sex pieces and the humor and all that kind of
stuff.
The way that men like to look at locker room talk, which I think is just bonding. It's a lot more than that, of course. If you just look at that bonding aspect of it, then I think kitchen conversation, food conversation, recipe conversation is a bond.
Oh, absolutely. That was what was so, in those early days of April and May, to go to simple recipes was really like being with my mother and her sisters. Where when they call each other every day, it's what have you cooked, what will you make, oh, I got this, oh, the fish was expensive, the bagra was cheap. It's that kind of conversation. And it's so warm because it's so nourishing. It's just, when somebody offers you a recipe, it's because they've cooked it, they've tried it, they've liked it, or somebody else has liked it, and they're therefore sharing it. It's a beautiful. It's actually the way theatre should be. That we create, or any art should be, isn't it? That we create not to impress, but to share. Just to offer it.
I mean, for me, it was just originally I just started out as being, let me just get people like me together and we'll try and get some help from people who know what they're doing. But just the constant curiosity of,
it's just lovely.
What we do. There is, okay, you got this, what was it that, was it Priya Ramani or Paramita put this thing, the wilting lauki. I remember that someone puts a forlorn picture of a forlorn wilting lauki. 25 people have questions on what you can do in 10 minutes flat.
No matter what. Absolutely marvelous. Like yesterday, somebody had posted about a biryani gone bad or a palau gone bad. Who would ever think like with the palau gone? She said, "My palau's gone bad. What should I do?" And immediately people were saying like, "Do this, make these, add on chini, make a frittata." It's so amazing. It's and also the stories, no, because we told people the story of somebody's mother-in-law, somebody's father-in-law, somebody's childhood, somebody's parental home. It's marvelous. It's like an archive of just people across the country and the way lives are lived and what is spent on, what people consider, where the money goes. It's really quite a wonder.
From whatever you've posted in the group, you are very far from being the kind of kitchen novice that I am. But would you say that there are things that you have learned in the group that you may perhaps have not learned in other ways?
Oh, I think quite a few. I, especially, in those, I have to keep harking back to those early days. For me, those were the halcyon days of simple recipe because everyone was locked down and nobody had access to anything. So the recipes that were shared, know how to make do with one bangan over 1 week, or how to use baked beans, or what's available, Maggi noodles. So that sort of sharing, I've made many recipes. One recipe that comes to mind is the Naga chicken,
Mhm.
and the Naga
Yes, I
chicken is
know.
one of my favorite with Konark. He really loves that because it's a lot of green chilies, simple, 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 and Amul butter. It's so good.
That was something that I
I think,
marked out right
yeah, it's
as
it's
being.
a superb recipe. Yeah, I really have enjoyed those. Not very elaborate ones, which I haven't really made as yet. I probably will, but the simple recipes that wow.
I was wondering if Zoe would.
Sorry, I have to tell you that yesterday I posted a super. Sorry, Peter. Sorry, I missed that.
I was just wondering if Zoe would care to turn on camera and join in the conversation too. No pressure if you don't feel
Zoe,
like it.
no pressure. But we can see your big gray box here.
Yeah,
No,
no
I can't
issues.
hear her. So it's okay. No, I just wanted to tell you that even last evening or something like this, I posted a recipe that involved like nothing, palak, rice, and coconut milk powder. I mean, it's so silly, but recipes like that, that just off the bat, but they work and they're really easy. Somebody may make it.
Mhm.
What do they say? Cheapest and easiest. Huh?
Cheap and best.
Cheap and
In
best, yes.
Bombay,
Cheap, that's it.
Bombay term that says what? Sasta sundar tikau. You know,
That one, only, yeah, yeah.
it's nice
Cheap and best.
and it'll do.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
who are muted and who are watching the video, feel free to join the room if you want to right now, and we will try and bring more people into the conversation as and when we go on. You can
Lovely.
also you can also put in your questions in the chat, which we can see alongside if you have questions for Kirtana. But I'm going to continue to until a few more of you join in and turn on your video and audio. I'm going to continue to monopolize Kirtana and ask her more questions about this. But for if you had to offer advice to people
Yeah.
in this who are thinking about a move to the countryside, not necessarily live the full-on farming life and growing, eating only what you grow and stuff like that, or getting everything from the farms nearby you, but at the very least living a more rural life. Uh, what advice would you offer them?
Support the local economy. I would say support the local economy. Be transparent, support the local economy because then you're not working at your approach is not top down. You're just on the same journey because then your friendships and your kinships are far better. And you really, oh yeah, that's a beautiful thing, right? That your kinships are really close in a village, so
Mhm.
you can't afford to like piss off people and all that. It doesn't have the individuality that you can afford in a city where you can just lock yourself in your flat. Is not there. We live without boundaries really. Our space is visible to everyone around us. So it's better that we do everything locally. Whenever we buy our rice, our dal, our oil from the village grocer, everything is nicer. You feel happier. You feel better. Because if you don't go whole hog for that, no, you're still doing that gentleman farmer thing where you
Mhm.
live a happy life and dropping by and all that. So I think that causes there's a lot of stuff associated with that, negative stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mean the helicopter visitor to the farm. Someone who's got the farmhouse or the Goa house, or
Yeah,
the Gurgaon person who's got a farmhouse there where they go for their parties, or the Bombay person with the Alibag kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Not, but if you're going to live full time, if you're looking at moving, what are what would you say are, I mean, you and your family have enjoyed it very much, but would there be anything that surprised you about the farm life, or things that you wish perhaps someone had said, okay, here's one little thing to watch out for? I mean, it could be as simple as you may want to buy a generator, or
Yeah,
it's
so
solar.
I'll tell you,
Work.
do not go with the panchayat grid. Just have solar. Even though solar will cost much more, your initial investment will be way more. It will, even though the prices have come down, but it's still very expensive. But in the long term, you'll be so much better off. Our big mistake is that by the time we reached the electricity part, electricity and plumbing, we were kind of really broke. So, you take the cheaper option, and the cheaper option is never the cheaper option. So for us, the electricity and the plumbing is what we've suffered from the most. Another very practical piece of advice. If you want to have a pond that's pretty, do not have ducks. Third very practical piece of advice. Don't have bamboo anywhere near your living quarters, because bamboo roots are very fine and they grow into your plumbing. So you have scads of roots like this, the roots are inside your plumbing, and that just it all goes out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's practical advice. Yeah, don't plant bamboo near your cottage. That's for sure.
Tell me about the ducks.
The ducks are holy terrors, man. Terrors, I tell you. They're really pretty, ducks are really pretty and they're quite endearing and all of that. And duck eggs, people like. I don't. They're fishy. But don't have that, because if you want to have a pretty pond with lilies and papyrus and stuff, forget it. They eat like vacuum cleaners. So ducks should have a separate space which is far away from your beautiful pond. Don't have ducks there. Oh, another thing, chickens are noisy little buggers, okay? And they don't crow only in the morning. They crow 24/7. So there's
Yes.
another. Oh, I've got so much advice. Here's the most important piece of advice. So now the three of us are kind of what is a nice word for it? There is no nice word. We're sloppy. So we don't sell our male offspring. Male offspring have no use at all on a farm. Like male cattle, male goats, absolutely no use. They're good for gobar, and that's about it. Okay, they keep your grass. You don't need to cut your grass. They mow the lawns, but that's about it. Beyond that, if, as luck would have it, on a farm, everyone prays to have a female offspring, and as luck would have it, we've had nothing but boys, and we've not had the heart to sell them for meat. We should. We're so stupid. We don't. So yeah, don't be that way. Don't be soppy. If you're going to live on a farm and have animals, be very either don't or be very sure about what you want to do with them.
That's one thing I think that people who consume, say, dairy products do not realize that to get them their dairy, you're going to need, it's not economical for the dairy farmer to keep male offspring.
It's not at all. It's not at all.
Perpetually lactating cows.
Yeah.
No bulls. You need just enough bulls to sort of keep providing you with your next generation of cows. And that the way that these bull calves are disposed of and that they're merely meat and they're extra and everything. So a lot of people who consume dairy do not realize that, yes, while they may not be consuming meat, they are, leading to a lot of, the loss of a lot of, the natural way of things in normally live.
Absolutely. See, look, in our little village, right, you cannot accuse anybody of factory farming over there. And there's some chickens some miles away, but not where we are. Everyone has about 4 cattle. And the natural sequence of things is that if you have a male cattle, the byari would come and buy the male cattle, and they would be sold for meat, for leather, and so on, and disposed of, and all would be well. But now that it's become so problematic, and people only can do it in the black and underground, and through smuggling sales and things like that, it's really problematic because there's all these male cattle. Like on our farm, actually, we're quite looking forward to getting rid of maybe two bulls. We would really like to get rid of 2 bulls, but we want to give them to some place who want them for gobar and to keep the grass mowed. My point is, when you bought the old cattle in Bangalore, they bought the old cattle. And there was a reason for all of these livelihoods. There was a reason why people did this thing, and it got the whole balance good. Now, if you don't have this, if you do a cattle ban, a cattle slaughter ban, what is going to happen to all these male bulls? It's not like they're doing some genome selecting and selecting only female calves through semen injections. They're not doing that. They're not in that place. People have like 4 head of cattle, 6 head of cattle. What are they going to do? It's not economic. So there's that. But I want to tell you a funny related story, which is kind of connected to us being soppy, etc., etc. So we naturally come from non-vegetarian families on every quarter. My mother's a fantastic cook of Mangalorean food, and like my sister-in-law makes the best roast, so on and so forth. Now, what happened? Our daughter Zui, by the time she was 2.5, she said, "The sausage is a pig. I'm not eating it. That's it. End of story." She turned vegetarian. I slowly, kind of along the way, turned pescatarian. So Marek was flying the vegetarian flag high for a long time, but with these 2 women in his life, he was also kind of weakening on the non-vegetarian front. The other day, it was Yugadi, right? So Yugadi, Nagama had cooked all this fantastic bread, obattu and ocharu and bele saru and kosambri and padneka and this palya and that palya and all that. Vades and brought to the farm. Very happy, all very well. And I get my information via Nagama's letter. Then the next day, she called. He was supposed to go in for an hour just to help the animals, but instead she called Zui and she said, come fast, bring the car. I put all this blood first, so you have to take it. All this blood, and she kept repeating, Rakta, Rakta, Rakta. Zui, the vegetarian, goes there. And so, as is the norm, so the day after Yugadi, they sacrifice a goat to Marama, who's the local, the village deity. So the sacrifice had taken place, and it's so beautiful, Peter. Every part of the goat is consumed. So she had made these kebabs and she had made biryani, but then she had made very specially for Konarak, so much love. She had made him a blood curry. And she really wanted it. So for him, it's good for his heart, he must eat it, must eat it. Konarak, on the other hand, he spoke to me just before that, and he's like, "I'm dying, please tell me she's not going to send me that goat. Please tell me she's not." Sure enough, all this food. But look at the strange conundrum, right? So there we are, these urban folk who move there. Look at the politics of the situation and how a Western eye would think I don't even know how to extrapolate, but when you think of somebody who's vegan, okay, and with all the belief system that goes with being vegan, rightly, but then you look at Nagama, what is she consuming in this world? Hardly anything. And if she sacrifices a goat once a year and every bit of it is consumed, what can we say about it? What is our argument? To me, there is none. There really is none. And when you see us slowly becoming vegetarian out of a kind of disconnect from some earlier life, all of that, it's such an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
I'm just repeating for those who are watching. If you want to turn on video and join in on the chat, please do. I know Roma and David and Dipti at various times came in and I asked you to exit for a little while. Please feel free to join back in now because we do turn this over. It shouldn't be just a conversation as enjoyable as it is, not just between Kirtana and me. We want people to come in as well. So please join if you and turn on cameras. And again, Zui, now that you're here and listening, I apologize for inserting that word despair in the poster. And rebuked, because from all I hear, you've been having a great time out there. So, copywriter, I needed to do something there at some point, and I put that in my apologies. But do feel free, Zui, to turn on camera and or audio if you feel like joining in on the conversation.
Please do. I hope everyone will.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly ask, can you let my grandmom and uncle into the group?
Of course.
Yeah. Where are they? Where are they?
I think they both sent requests to join.
And maybe that was late.
No.
But they can come. They can come.
Yeah. And you can put the camera on also.
pressed for it.
I think that's okay, Zoo. I've got all this interesting stuff I want to show you.
All right. So there is no obligation on turning on camera for those who don't want to, but please feel free to talk.
Yes, please. Oh, there's a rabbit. That's Atru, our rabbit. Peter, she's here specially. It's a special appearance for the first table talk.
Right. So, was someone trying to join the chat? Did you say, Zuri?
Not the chat, because we weren't really sure how it works, so they tried to join the group.
Okay.
Do they have to join?
For a complicated. Do they have to join the group?
Yes. Yes.
Join the chat?
For now,
Yeah.
for now, they would have to join the group. Yes, the video will be available later for others to watch as well.
Oh, great. Okay, then I'll just send it to them later.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Zuri, I was
That
wondering if
was
you could tell us, Zuri, question for you. So, young
okay.
person, and you know, and I'm sure you have a large circle of friends, and the life in the city, etc. How has it been for you adjusting to the farm life? I know you said despair, what despair, but I'm not trying to force despair on you. But how was the adjustment for you to live in this life and not?
Not in my other life. No. I did not have a large circle of friends in the city. I enjoy the city, like I enjoy going out and all of that. But I've always been more drawn to animals and trees and the hills. So for me, it was like perfect coming to the farm. Yeah, there was no adjustment per se, and anyway it was lockdown, so it was really like nothing I felt like I was missing out on. Well, the only adjustment in the beginning was we were doing all the work ourselves, so I had to wake up at 5:30 and
Oh, yeah,
milk the
that was
cows.
a major adjustment for somebody who wakes up at 11 o'clock. That was a major adjustment.
Yeah, but other thing,
All right. So any other folks who want to join in? I think just turn on get into the room and please join us when you feel like it. Sorry, Zay, please go ahead.
no, just no. I feel like if anybody's thinking of doing it, I don't think once you're here and you're actually doing it and like you're waking up in the morning and milking a cow and collecting eggs and all of that, you won't feel like you're missing out on. It won't be an adjustment. It'll just be like a different trip and like a good one.
And maybe there's far more stimulation on the farm. You won't believe it, Peter, but there's never a dull moment, right? So there's always something. There'll be a python in somebody's chicken house and you have to go do that, or there's some fire somewhere, or there's leopard, or there's constantly something. So there's
lots of
leopard. And what the other stuff you do, Duri? I mean, I'm not sure exactly how old you are, but are you still studying? Is it work? Whatever it is, how do you manage the rest of your life now?
Right now, I am between academia. I'm hoping to go pursue my master's in Italy in marine biology in October. And luckily, because I think one nice thing about this lockdown is this remote working. So since that's been a big possibility, I'm sort of balancing some of those jobs on the side also. So you're doing quite a lot, but not having to be in the center of it all at the same time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I also feel like that. I feel like, wow. Because, yeah.
There is something, of course, I never actually worked. Sorry, please carry on.
No, because see, she's been editing out of print. The new out of print, Zui edited it. Then she does this hem thing, so she's writing on hem. And looking after farm. Because of work from home that we couldn't manage all of this.
Hey, Anton. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Where's
Go on,
Uttam?
Karen.
Where's Uttam? I can't see.
No, Uttam. This is Anton.
Oh, hey, hi.
Hi. Sorry, I was on a call.
Yeah,
No, that's
Uttam walked briefly and then exited. But
I did Uttam.
Anton,
Ah,
Anton is a reviewer, food writer, a vast number of things, literary curator, and he's a lot of very interesting conversations on Instagram on food. And he's going to be on one of my guests on one of the future editions as well.
oh, lovely. Okay, then I have to tell you why I ran downstairs because I wanted to show you this beautiful thing called bear lock.
Okay.
Do you know this, Anton?
No, I didn't quite get the name of it. What did you say it
Bear
was?
lock. Bear lock. So it's BAE with a umrah, BAERLAUCH, and that's wild garlic. And it grows,
Okay.
it's actually a rampant. It grows in the spring, so it just grows up like wild. And when you're walking in the woods, you can just smell like huge garlic odor, and you look down and there's this bear lock. And so it's been a joy to cook it because it makes a beautiful pesto.
Okay. Wow.
Instead of using basil at all, you don't use basil, but you chop up the bear lock really fine and you grind either if you're using, I put walnuts with bear lock and makes a beautiful pesto.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a very cool.
Kirtana is in Germany at the moment. I mean, he lives in Karnataka.
Yeah, I
in a
can explain that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
in the-
kind of figured that this is not something I've heard of in India, so it has to be
Yeah.
somewhere in Europe, quite
That's
most likely.
But you know the crazy thing, like when you're walking past garlic shoots, you don't smell garlic. But with the bear lock, like, oh, the wood smell of it. It's quite
And it's
amazing.
used in sausages and all of that as well.
I don't know, but in the season people use it in everything, like on salads, on to make bruschetta with tomato and bear lock and some cheese, in frittata, pasta, and everything. It's very seasonal. This and spargel, which is asparagus, is like
Okay.
markers of spring. So that's what they're cooking now.
So this would be the white asparagus season.
This is just the start of the white asparagus season. I love that. The white spargel is so good.
It's a bit of an acquired taste, actually. It took me a couple of years to get used to it and kind of really
Are you
appreciate it.
did you worry about your smell?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of got that off kind of thing, and it's a very compared to asparagus, it's far more neutral,
Yeah.
in flavor. So
Yeah.
the first couple of times, I couldn't understand why people made such a big deal out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very just flat, you know? Yeah. Also, I told Peter a small thing. It's a bit embarrassing, especially because Zuri is here. It's really embarrassing. But before I left India, because I was going to be away for 2 months, I wanted to carry I want to carry some small little things. But these two told me, "Are you crazy? You're going to be in Munich. Just eat what's local, eat what's there." So secretly, I ordered a small 1 kilo bag of jeera sambar rice, 1 kilo bag of moong dal, 100-gram packet of it's right here, jeera, and 100-gram packet of ghee. So at a pinch, if I like at a pinch, I can have good dal, rice, and ghee. That was awesome.
Right.
Very
That was one of the things that we had said we'd be chatting about, actually. For someone who wants the taste of home, what would you recommend that they sort of smuggle to customers?
Well, this is what I smuggle. But some people take MTR packets. I can't deal with all that. I like real food, like cook it. I love that. So I like this dal rice business. Fry up some potatoes, dal rice, make a strawberry chutney with some chilies in it and some cinnamon. And the other day, believe it or not, I actually made pandi curry for Easter because there are 5 ateliers where I live. I live in this big villa, and there are 5 other artists living there. So for Easter, they were like, "What are you going to do?" and all that. And somebody's mother had some wild boar, wildschwein. So I said, okay, I'll make pandi curry. We made pandi curry over there. It was awesome. I didn't eat it. Others said it was awesome.
Wow.
So if you know how to make pandi curry, you know that you use kachampuli, you know, the
Yeah.
coloring agent from food. But here we used a good balsamic vinegar. It was super. It was like black and rich and beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I just did a recipe quite recently with kachampuli.
Huh.
I think I forget what I did now,
Huh.
but I mean, the first time I tasted it, which was at a restaurant in Bangalore, and the minute you tasted that, the first thing that comes to mind is balsamic.
Yeah.
The flavors are just similar.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was cool.
One of the things that Anton and I have planned ahead to talk about is about not being tied down, imprisoned by recipes.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing.
Good
Use
idea.
your, and which instinctively appeals to me because I can never remember what I did the last time. You know,
Yeah.
I go to notes and things like that. Because I didn't learn how to cook in any systematic way. A few experiments that I did here and there, everything else really has been call a friend and say, okay, listen, I've got this, what do I do with this? And then they
Yeah.
try to do it, and I wind up somewhere along the way in between saying, okay, what if I put a little bit more of this herb and something else and see, and then wind up with something that's not
But not
to a friend during lockdown. Some point in lockdown, I was talking to a friend, one of my friends who's very close, you know, who's been very helpful with recipes. I started out by saying, you know, today I did this little experiment, and she said, Peter, everything you do in the kitchen every time is an experiment. So that's taken for granted.
I think that's lovely. Why not? Really.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
okay,
fun.
I completely like fun does. That's the problem. You know, the thing is to be able to do what Anton is saying, which is not be imprisoned by a recipe. It's like music, I guess. You know, you need to know what you're doing first, and then you decide to say not be playing covers all the time, but to make your own music. But
Yeah.
you have that grounding. You have
Yeah.
that sure you know what your instrument can do. You know what compositions are done, and now you can, you know, play with it a bit more.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
I
that.
haven't
Yeah.
learned experience yet.
People are saying audio not clear and all, Peter. Is that okay? Do I just ignore all those?
I'm not entirely sure. That, I mean, there's pause for other people sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Folks
maybe.
listening, are you still having audio issues? It could be a local problem with
Okay.
Yeah,
internet.
I think it's pretty clear.
Okay. So I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. No? And I saw some angry icon and sobbing icon and all. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure. Actually, with this window, I don't get to see how many people. I get to see only the number of people who are currently watching, which was 8 now. A little while earlier, it was 20, then it went down and back up again. But I
Never mind.
put in the comments. So, Arjun, I hope it's working out on the video as well, and the audio is cleared up. Anyone who does feel like joining in, will be on for 10 minutes. Is that okay, Kirtana?
Yeah, and I have two other things I wanted to show you, okay? Just because I'm here. And so this is something once a week I go and do my shopping. And this is something that I diligently buy every day. It's half eaten, so don't, it's a bit gross because it's half eaten. But can you see it? Okay, so this is, yeah, so it's kind of like, it's a pastry with a huge dollop of vanilla custard and strawberry. It's so good. It's like my weekly little decadence. And there's another thing I like very much. Zooey knows about this. They should make this in India, man. Look what it is. It's just dark chocolate on rice cakes. And it's such a nice snack. So yeah, so if you want to know what I shop for over here, it's very simple. It's salmon, so smoked salmon, it's fresh vegetables, whatever's in season. season. So if that's struggle or onions or whatever, little red radishes, and then it's fresh bread and it's yogurt. Standard, that's it. Not wine, and that's it. Then all this other like rubbish kind of stuff. That's showing my fridge.
That looked like a very generous layer of chocolate on that.
Oh, I'm hoping not, Peter. Now that you're saying that, I'm a little afraid. But you know, it's good for everything, right? Chocolate.
I'm not arguing. I was just observing.
It's so good. My
No,
I'm sorted. Yeah. Then what? So another cool thing is, no, actually on Nagama letters is the way that Nagama cooks and her recipes. Because besides all the lovely things she makes, which is like all the vele saru and bassaru and oh God, she makes something called hal saru. I don't think anyone has heard of a hal saru, no, Zoo? It's a very Nagama thing. But it's basically a song that she makes out of fresh milk. So she boils fresh milk, like the buffalo fresh milk, and she seasons it, salt and seasoning, and lots of fried onions. And this eat with hot ragi mudde or hot rice. So this is quite a curiosity. We're not extremely fond of that, but this is a thing. Hal saru is very much a thing. But besides that, she's so good at just going into the field and collecting whatever sort of food, like barke, so green, whatever greens are handy, like she calls it barke, which is just a gathering of all these different kinds of greens. And she'll cook them with tuar dal, like green tuar dal, and mash them up and season it. It is so good, Peter. So we share notes about greens. Like I show her this bear rock, and then she'll show me some soap from there.
How is the project you're working on, the one that's centered around Nagama's letters? How is that taking shape in your head as the project per se, if you don't mind sharing about that?
Yeah. So, like I told you, it began as just these simple communications between her and me, but it's being extrapolated into a larger project on food and politics. So, what is the intersection between the choices people make about what they eat? For example, Nagama's choices, what would they be? And my choices, where I'm sitting, and what I've told you or what I'm cooking, and what this means. So, and my dramaturg, Julia, is German, and Julia is vegan. So it's quite interesting that Julia, who's German vegan, when she confronts Nagama's goat sacrifice, what are the sparks that fly over there?
And not only goat sacrifice.
Why? What else has she sacrificed? Buffalo.
Lots
of
things have.
There's some unmentionables which I cannot mention here because it's against the law of the land. So I can't mention those. But yeah, but what sparks fly in that? It's a clash of civilization, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The one that feels it's seen the failures of capitalism, and therefore it's made a choice. And the other that has never reached capitalism, it hasn't entered that room. That is still living. It's still living on a very local and very substance level of consumption. I think that's really an extremely exciting clash.
Okay, and so this will be so how I'm trying to look at it from what I'm seeing in your head is that this will be a piece eventually that looks at this dialogue in a theatrical way.
Actually, right now you can follow it. So anybody who's here, Nagama Letters goes up on Instagram, and it'll be on Instagram, Facebook, and there's an independent platform called Nagama's Letter, which we're now developing, which is interactive. So people can actually either record a video, or they can talk Nagama this live appearance, or they can type in their own recipes.
Okay.
Or their objections to something. Like we talk about blood curry, What is your objection and what are the politics of that objection?
Okay. So this would be on or has it got its own handle? Is the project have its own handle? Or
No, it will have its own handle, and that will be Nagama's letters. Right now, it's piggybacking off my handle, which is Kirtana _Kumar. So it's piggybacking on that. Very shortly, it'll have its own handle.
Great. So folks can follow it along on Instagram. That's going to be.
I'm sorry, Peter?
Right now, it's going to be only Instagram, or will you be doing it using other?
Right now, it's Instagram and Facebook, but hopefully and also there are really now learned that there are many reasons not to be using Instagram and Facebook. So we'll also be looking at artist-driven spaces like Upstage. Upstage premieres in September, so we hope to be on Upstage. So more performance platforms, artist-driven platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of debate on that, but yeah, unfortunately for a lot of Facebook has the kind of and ubiquity. And unfortunately, when you do interesting, and I think one of my friends told me that listen, one of the few reasons that I stay on Facebook these days is simple recipes and one or two other groups which add value, but otherwise you're done with Facebook.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, as long as the Facebook cloud holds all our data, it's like it's the only archive I have of my work. I don't have my work anywhere else, so it remains there. No?
Would you like to add to anything to the conversation, Pratibha? If you want to turn on your audio and ask a question or say anything, please feel free to do so. We will. We're at what? We're at about an hour and 15, 20 minutes into from when we started. So I think that's a lot of your time to have taken up, Kirtana. But I do hope we can continue this conversation. Yeah.
Yes, Peter, for sure. I really enjoyed this.
Great. I'm glad you did. And I hope that right now today there were a lot of glitches which I'm still trying to work out what I'm doing wrong. You weren't able to join. I know you have to start the room and all that kind of stuff. But I am chatting with a very kind person from Facebook who has said that he would offer me a little bit of help on what I'm doing wrong. And I will try and remember what I did, not repeat that the next time around, hopefully. This is all rather new to me as well. Like I said, I don't do much videos, and I much prefer just chatting with people on the phone. But I mean, you have to put on, somewhat decent clothes if you're going to do a video and things like that.
The question is, are you wearing pants? Tell the truth.
I think we should leave some things as mysteries for now. So, I think this was a lovely start for Table Talk. And thank you, Kirtana, for being my guest on this first episode.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And we do hope we'll have more of these, and we hope more people join you and join us in future conversations. Remember that if you want to follow Kirtana's project, which is in her collaboration with Nagama, you can follow it right now on Kirtana's Instagram handle, which is Kirtana _Kumar, KIR, not KEE, KIRTANA _KUMAR. And Nagama's letter will eventually have its own handle as well. So you can follow along with that, and hopefully we'll see you again in a fortnight from now when we do the next show. Thank you, Kirtana. Thank you, everyone who tuned in.
Thank you all. Bye, Peter.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye.